Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody inside and outside the ballpark. My name is NovedPlayer, and welcome to episode 62 of the Noved Notes podcast, where we talk about many different types of creators and communities inside of the platform. I'm your host, and with me today, I have a very old player when it comes to VRChat, an amazing animator. You can already see him on screen because the camera angles are a little bit goofy today. We have the Shiba King. We have PikaPetey.
Hi.
Petey, hope you're doing well.
Yeah, no, I'm doing really well. Just had a major success with my project I've been working on for a very long time. If you didn't see it, there was an April Fools Day event that happened on VRChat. There's a whole bunch of rats running around, and I was in control or built the NPC system that had the rats run around, be network synced. I call it elastic sync. And that was the first major deployment of my system throughout like many different types of worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, you're kind of you might want to scoot back just a smidge. you're like sitting in front of the there you go.
There we go.
Close enough.
I'm still on Vive controllers, so no subtleties of the binary movement.
Yeah, it's all good. Well, you kind of already answered the first question of what exactly do you do, but kind of to go to back to the origins and stuff. What exactly got you into like VRChat in the first place?
So I been around the internet for a while. I am an old school. Let me sneak up there. There we go. I've been around the internet for a while. I was part of like the old school Newgrounds days, early 2000s, with when Egoraptor was running supreme on it, and I loved content creation. Well, I hate the word content. I liked people coming together and making things on the internet, and it just felt so free and open. Eventually money got involved, and then I was wondering one day, where did that go? Around like the late 2010s. I was like, where is that that Wild West creativity that the internet's known for? YouTube is now just kind of like dead. Everyone's thinking about the algorithm. And then I saw the Uganda Knuckles meme that was going around, do you know the way? And I immediately recognized, like, that's where it is. That's where it went. I went in all right now. And then I immediately bought full body gear. I was already working in the tech industry, so I had like VR at work, but I didn't, that was fun and fascinating, but I didn't really get VRChat when I first saw it. I was like, why are you getting me punching in my password on? Because people could see it on the monitor screen. So I dismissed it off, but then when I saw the creativity in it, I'm like, that's where it is. And so I just went all in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, obviously with you being around since like the Uganda Knuckles era, because that was back in like 2017, early 2018.
Yeah.
Obviously a lot has changed when it comes to VRChat.
Yeah.
But before we even get into that, because you also do animations and stuff too. So first and foremost, like what kind of got you interested in like animating and making these animations?
Oh gosh, that's talking to a high schooler me. I didn't want to be an engineer. That was literally it. I joined the first robotics team, and I was just like, yeah, I don't know what to do with my life. I'm going to be an engineer. And then I joined the robotics team, and I liked the people on the robotics team was fun and engaging, but I'm like, I don't get excited about the same things that these people get excited about. I need to find my place. So, there was an Autodesk Visualization Award, which we made an animation with Autodesk 3ds Max. And I was like, oh, this is like what Pixar does. Because I like the Pixar films. And then from there, I was hooked. I couldn't, I didn't really have internet at the home at my, parents' house. So I would go on the internet at the school library, print out tutorials, because no one was making video tutorials at the time. This is 2004. YouTube wasn't around yet. So print out blogs from the school library, take them home, and then try to solve out how to do stuff in 3ds Max with it. And then the brilliant thing about it is that it came with its user manual, the F1 key. So, fun tip: if you're ever confused in any program, usually if you hit the F1 key, it brings up the user manual.
Yeah,
It even works on Chrome.
True. I always, to be fair, I always forget that exists too. To be fair, well, that's what's up. Yeah, I was gonna say, because obviously you've made plenty of animations, going from way back then till now. So I guess one of the questions I wanted to ask was there a particular animation, whether it was Newgrounds era or YouTube era, that kind of like helped inspire you, or a creator, I should say, when it came to like your animations? Was there any like inspiration that came from like your animations?
I mean, obviously, there's no a single source. You get like inspiration from any place. It's just I always like trying to do things that I've personally never seen done before. And that's why I jumped to VR so quickly when I did, because I've never seen a medium like that. So I think what really inspired me the most was the whole Pixar story with John Lasseter talking about getting fired from Disney, getting a job at this graphics group under Lucas. And what I came away from that is that not the artistry of the journey, but the trust in the technology, basically. Like, art has always been paired with technology, even back in the painting days, where the technology was finding the materials and the pigments and getting them to stick. So art's always been paired with technology. And that's what I always inspire to. Can I find new technology to make more art? And I liked that message until recently. Because, then technology started producing the art, and I was just like, whoa, I think that's a step too far.
Right. No, absolutely. And that's a whole topic and a half.
It's a whole topic.
Yeah, I'll say, obviously, like, full-hearted disclosure when it comes to this. Like, I'm only for AI in the sense of it being used as a tool, not the final product. Like a tool to help create it, but as a final product, I am highly against it. And that goes with any type of projects that when it comes to like music or art or whatever, never use it as a final product. It will never be. Obviously there's like auto captions, like that uses AI. There are things that AI is good for, but there's there's things for AI that you should not use as a final product, period. At the end of the day,
the one thing I would love to do about AI, and I'm a Naruto nerd, so I always thought, I was like, man, I could get more done if I like shadow clone jutsu, and poof, another one appears to me and goes like, what do you want me to do, PD? And I'm like, all my skills, we make more stuff faster. And like having it, because there's a lot of grunt work in especially like traditional animation, and I'm like, a lot of times I'm sitting there and I'm drawing the final lines, and I'm like, man, I just wish like there's something I could do every other line or something, like I know what it's supposed to look like. It's just the speed at which my arm can draw is limiting by physics and biology.
Right. It'd be a lot easier if you could just clone yourself. Like, I mean, that goes with like, video editing and everything else too. Like, you have the idea, but it's just a matter of you are one single person at the end of the day. And, that's totally understandable. I can relate
that's
to that.
That's a legit use of AI. And so everyone having like their own personally trained model that's off of their stuff, I think that'd be wonderful. But that's a tangent.
Right. Yeah. No, it's all good. Well, I guess kind of, because obviously with your animations, you have done some VRChat related animations. We're actually in the world of one of the creators that you did an animation for, which was xCirrex, for one of his performance worlds, which we'll have that on screen as well. So I guess kind of to ask a little bit about that. So what kind of made you, I know I kind of already answered this, but just for this one in particular, because there's a very interesting animation to say the least. So what was kind of the mindset when making this animation? Because obviously you had the screaming head that kind of transforms into, the xCirrex head and everything. So what kind of was like the mindset making that animation?
Well, xCirrex came to me and he said he wanted a series of animations for this MIDI-controlled world. And one of the parts that really fascinated me about that is I didn't really quite understood how it was going to be used. I knew it was going to be controlled in real time, but I didn't know how one bit was going to transform into the next. And so I had to it was really captivating for me because I was like, okay, well, how can I use it for I'm making sets and art for a DJ thing. I've been to a lot of raves. I know what those are kind of repetitive, but they have transitional frames and transitional animation. So that was the part that really fascinated me. How can I get a screaming head into xCirrex's head and have these other transitions that happen everywhere? And I don't know if he used them or not.
There'll be bits on the screen.
Yeah, there'll be bits on the screen. So that was a lot of fun. Because he kind of knew exactly what he wanted with the screaming head, but then I was just like, you're paying me, though, and I know it's for your world. I'm going to put you in it. And he was like, no. And I'm like, too late.
Too late. It's already done.
Already
done. Well, no, I mean, it's really cool to kind of see, creators working together when it comes to stuff like that. Which is one of the reasons why I love interviewing so many different creators, because they may have worked with this person on this project and it may not be known. They could have credit walls, but honestly it's VRChat who reads credit walls. But in a serious sense, it's really cool what people can create together. To a sense, it's infinite possibility.
And that's bringing it back to my first point. xCirrex came to me and he wanted this, wanted something from me, and it was just for the art of it all. And that's what I appreciated. I knew there was no hidden agenda. There was no, oh, I'm coming to PikaPetey because he's going to give me a shout out and then I can get more subscribers. No, there's none of that. And that's why I've stuck with VRChat for as much as I have, because everyone is more concerned about the world, the performance, the art than the algorithm, money, subscribers, or other metrics.
Mm-hmm. No,
and that's
absolutely.
it continues to be that way here.
Yeah, it definitely. If I had to label VRChat as a platform for the overall community, this is not counting the expose creators, all that. That's a whole another 49-minute tangent that we're not going to go on. But at the end of the day, the VRChat community, it's all about creativity and making things that the world has never seen before, and they can experience firsthand. Which I can definitely understand that and 1000% get behind. It's crazy. I mean, especially going from back in 2017 to now, we have so much more stuff now than we ever have for the platform.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh man. Back then every world was vetted by I think VRPill. And there was this they would go to each world and have a Google spreadsheet of what to fix. And you could see worlds coming in real time. Every day he would go to newly uploaded worlds, which was probably about 5, maybe. No one was making worlds back then. It wasn't. And then eventually, as it got popular, things just, it wasn't to scale. So they had the community lab stuff. But because every world was vetted, everyone was dumped in the same join area. There was no home world yet. It was just, you come to VRChat, you're going to the public lobby, dumped right in, wearing the last avatar that you were wearing when you crashed, and it was 2017, baby. Crashing was just part of the game. and so there was a lot of times I'm sitting in that world, just watching people come in, and you see one guy panicking, shit, oh, crap, trying to change his avatar before it loaded, before everyone else did. I'm like, I see you. I see you, dirty. You're a dirty mofo.
Yeah, no, dude. Back then, it was so fucking wild, dude. It was such
Yeah.
it was such a wild time back then.
I love the
It
part.
isn't good.
Well, I love the part where it was like, there was no safety settings. You either saw the avatar in its fullest or was blocked. There was no in between, and everybody knew this. So everyone had like a event or comedy on their avatar, and it felt like gunning on was just one giant improv night all the time.
Absolutely. No,
I remember.
Go ahead.
One of the things I remember getting on in the same night, I went around to the mirror and there's this like weirdly, oddly textured Optimus Prime avatar with like a UPS hat, and it goes like, "Hello, I am Amazon Prime. I believe you have a delivery." And he pulls out like this smoldering package, is on fire. It looks like it's been kicked. There's a Band-Aid on it, and it's like, "I need you to sign saying this is delivered in perfect condition." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not signing that. It looks like crap." And he goes, "I'm sorry, but weren't you the one who ordered next day shipping?"
Oh man. I wonder if that avatar still exists. I'm gonna have to go on an avatar search for it, and if I find it, I'll throw it up on the screen. If not, it is what it is. It's probably somewhere in the metaverse, probably. There's probably some type of footage out there of some type of avatar.
I don't know. It was one of those random encounters just happened just nightly. It was crazy.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, I mean, even nowadays, it's so different from back then, and much for the positive side, realistically, because now we can do a lot more than we've ever imagined. We have more optimization settings, more moderation settings, all the like, which I know
less
some
people
will disagree
running around asking you if that's a custom avatar.
Right. Yeah. No, valid. You know what? I probably haven't been asked that probably since, oh gosh, probably at least 2 years now, I think. Like,
oh man.
I mean, like Booth and Gumroad has become more used and everything, and like we don't really get that much anymore when people asking that, which is kind of, I never thought about that. That's actually a good point. That's crazy.
That was a meme back in the day. The Nikkei avatar. Custom avatar? Was it custom? Where did you get custom avatar?
Well, speaking of avatars, obviously we haven't even hit the main, point, because obviously you are known as, the Shiba King, and you are the creator of the Shiba base. So I guess kind of to ask, like, what kind of made you want to create the Shiba base in the first place?
Oh, that all boils back to pushing animation to I want to see how far take it. So this model that you're seeing right here, this is still SDK 2. This avatar was released in October 2018. And prior to that, no one was really utilizing Vizemes before. It was all like the standard school of thought was jaw flap, because like no one could get a Vizeme that was properly animated, and then no one thought of using the gestures to puppet the face. So I came in with my animation background, and I'm like, okay, so I have these limitations. How do I get the maximize expression out of it with the Vizemes and the expressions? And so I set off to create it, and I was like, I like dogs. There's okay, I could either do a corgi or Shiba Inu, and I thought Doge was funny, like the Doge memes, and I was like, yeah, let's do Shibas. So then I did the Shiba, and then when everyone was just like, I need this thing. Like, where did you get it? I was like, I created it. It's like, I will throw money at you. Please give me it. And I'm like, oh, this is more attention than I thought I would get. So
fair enough.
So and there was no Gumroad in the day, so I just was like, okay, well, I'm gonna no one's really gonna pay for this, all right? So I'll just say I have the Patreon, okay, and I'll just like I'll put up behind a paywall. There's like like $10 a month, and you can eventually get your own private Shiba textured by me uploaded onto your account. All these stipulations that made it like not a good deal. Hundreds of people signed up. And I was like, oh no. So yeah, then I was forced into a community leadership role that required a lot of personal growth at the same time, because I never my experience with an audience before, that people that like my work, was comments on like the website, like YouTube or Newgrounds, and that's like very disconnected. Now I'm talking to my fans almost nightly. They're in discussion groups on my Discord server. I had no moderation. I'm terrible at this stuff. I just like creating things. So when it came to like moderating a community, I had no idea what to do.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a step up, to say the least.
Yeah. It's become a lot easier now. So I've learned I probably would have, if gone back in time, I probably would make the same choices again, because I've grown as an individual.
No, absolutely. And people change over time, and it's definitely a crazy thing, to say the least, going from having this avatar that essentially people to this day still love and enjoy. I mean, there's a lot of VRChat videos out there that can prove this.
Yeah.
But I kind of going into that a little bit, because obviously, the community itself, with the whole Shiba Squad and everything, it's definitely, that's a whole adventure that we're gonna somewhat dive into. But I was to say, because obviously, as the avatar became more popular over the years, more people were in custom versions, different texture based, Shibas. Eventually, it kind of grew into the community itself, as you have already said. I'm kind of looping. I'm noticing I'm looping myself for some reason. I feel like I'm having a stroke. But so kind of to go into it. So there has been a lot of videos that have came out since the avatar's creation. Obviously, the trial of PikaPetey itself, which is a whole
fun.
Which is a whole short film. If you haven't watched it, I'll throw some clips. You got to go watch the full thing though. So I guess kind of to go into that a little bit. So obviously, this was like one of the first more short film length videos that have came out in that regard. So what was the experience like, kind of to be a part of that and help make that into like a short film?
So the a lot of credit goes to my friend Rectal Bisque, he was the reason for those videos. So I just happened to be in them. The whole reason why this started, he's one of a contact I have from the animation industry, and I contacted him over Discord one night, and I'm just like, hey dude, you gotta see this thing on it's called VRChat. I made a character on it. Like, I honestly think this is going to be like the next wave of where the animation industry is going. VTubers weren't a thing at the time. Like, that wasn't a thing. And I was like, yeah, no, I think like a lot of people are going to make real-time animations with like motion capture and VR gear. So he joins me randomly one night because I sent him a link, and then he didn't really respond right away, and I just kind of forgot about it. Well, he figured out how to make an account, gets on, and then surprises me one night while I'm at the Pug Bar. And I'm like, oh, you're here. Let me show you around. Not knowing he's recording at the time. So then the Shiba King dropped, and then that what really caught attention of a lot of people outside, because prior to that, people outside of VRChat just saw VRChat as like Uganda Knuckles, and just like, or random. Was Lolathon a thing at the day back then? Like random.
Not quite yet.
Not quite yet. So this was like, especially the furries, this was like their first exposure. They're just like, what is this? We need in on this. So that was cool to watch explode, but that's when the whole Patreon explosion thing happened, and just people just flooded into my Discord, and I'm just like, who are you people? Why are you paying?
Yeah, no, I'll say back then it was definitely like the Hapus, the Ugandan Knuckles. Oh gosh, there's been, I know that Lolathon I think was like a little bit like around that time. I don't think he was
okay.
He didn't start blowing up till like I think a year later, if I recall correctly. Post editor, if I'm incorrect about it, just throw a disclaimer down there. I'm just throw an edit down there. Tell me what year it was. I might be wrong, but it's definitely a crazy thing what kind of built up VRChat when it comes to like the back then till now. Because I know like a lot of people I've had on when it comes to like community leaders and creators, you know, they'll mention they'll mention Nags, they'll mention you know, like Cyberchimp, Lolathon, some of these, you know, bigger creators when it comes to like funny moments, you know, and it's just kind of crazy. A lot of them mention Ugandan Knuckles for sure, because that was like the first blow up of VRChat was the Ugandan Knuckles era. And then afterwards, like the second biggest one was obviously, you know, the pandemic in 2020. You know, everyone's at home, you know, at their computers, getting VR heads. It's either VR headsets or Nintendo Switches. There was no in between.
Yeah.
You're either playing Animal Crossing or you're playing VRChat. It's one or the other. But yeah, no, it's kind of crazy. Like thinking way back then and everything, like we had talked about the world side and what blew it up. It's kind of crazy what it has evolved to over the years. But funny enough, so I guess kind of to move on a little bit, because obviously there's been many videos regarding the Shiba avatar and everything, like you said with your friend. So I guess kind of to go a little bit more in depth, because obviously, you know, there's been a few of those types of videos out. I have to ask, this is more of a joke question than anything. I saw a video when I was doing research. I saw a video of you getting very angry over the smoke detector. The smoke detector beef. So out of curiosity, if you don't want this in, I'll gladly cut it out.
No, this is funny. This is funny. All right, so when I lived in LA after college and I was just like dirt poor, I was in this renting a carriage house out of some dude's like backyard, but like right behind it there was a apartment complex that just I just don't know if maintenance didn't care, but almost every single unit had a smoke detector that needed an extra battery. And if you never, the thing about smoke detectors, they exist on a spectrum that doesn't, like their beep exists on a spectrum that is like outside normal ambient frequencies. So it just punches through everything. I would have to wear like earplugs just to fall asleep. So I'm really sensitive to that tone. And so I joined VRChat, and I'm in this home world, just going around, and there's this kid there that he was talking about picking up like doing live stream or being a streamer and asking for advice. And I was like, well, you might want to change the battery on that smoke detector that's beeping. And his brain has already tuned that out. He's like, what beep? And I'm like, no, the beep that just came over your your microphone. He accuses me of lying, starts getting like it escalates. I'm like, okay, well, fine, kid, okay? Don't take my advice. I'm gonna go join off my friend, Rectal Bisque. And I join off him, and the first thing I hear is another smoke detector beep. So I'm just like, it's the video.
It was definitely one like I had to ask because I just watched. I was cracking up laughing, but no, I mean that makes sense. That makes sense. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a funny story, but yeah. So now when people they just want to prank me, they just put a smoke detector beep, and I'm like, no, please.
The PTSD is real.
Yeah.
No, fair. To be fair, like I'm kind of the same way. Like anytime I hear that beep, I'm always like, Whomst.
It's so easy. Just get a 9-volt battery. Just.
Hello, everyone. Real quick, just want to pause the episode right here. I want to thank you all so much for the amazing support when it comes to the Noved Squad and the Noved Notes podcast. We are now officially in the creator economy, which you can kind of see right behind me. You can now officially tip the podcast, or if you're interested to do monthly subscriptions with more benefits and perks for the world and upcoming projects, feel free to check it out at the group page, Noved.6608 for the group page. Of course, if you're enjoying what you're watching, feel free to hit that subscribe button down below. But let's get back into the episode. Woo! Or at least like just tape the thing off. Like it,
Yeah.
you know, like if you can't afford a battery, just put a duct tape over the thing to where it can't be heard. Disclosure, like don't actually do that. Go replace the battery and be safe. But gotta say that for the platform TOS, please be safe. But 9 platforms, I gotta make sure I hit every platform's TOS, or I was like, but yeah. So, that poor ears, just beep, beep. Like why? So I guess kind of to go a little bit further down the timeline a little bit. So obviously a bunch of stuff has been made regarding the Shiba stuff, and it's the community's ever growing and whatnot. So I guess kind of one of the things I wanted to ask. So when it came to like the origins till now, what are some of like the big progressions when it came to like, you know, the community side? Obviously you said, you know, it was definitely a new step for you, but like how has it changed from like when you started this community till now?
Oh, wonderfully. Lots of growing pains have gone to most of the community can it's almost on autopilot now. Things come up that need moderation, but it's not like I have a mod team now that does a wonderful job. Pro tip to anybody out there, if you're starting a community, get moderation immediately. It just makes it easier. Yeah, so that's what's been going on right now. And then just dealing with like running just your typical running a community. You'll have your ups and you'll have your downs. And some of the downs are really down. I don't want to get too much into it, but
no, totally fair. But anyways, so kind of to go back into some of the more positive side of things, you know, obviously when it comes to like progression and stuff, because you also, you know, started making like worlds and stuff, you know, when it comes to some of your stuff. So I guess kind of one of the questions, you know, obviously, you know, making an avatar is one thing, but what was it like kind of making your worlds and like kind of start the world creation process versus like an avatar creation process?
So, like I said, I'm always trying to try new things with it. Avatars, once the market started exploding with avatars, the people who were far better at creating avatars than me like came on board. I'm like, okay, that market's been explored, and I've there's people doing things out there that I've never seen, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. So I went to world creation because I was like, well, there's a huge area to explore with world creation. It's infinite. And that was a whole other ball game because I tend to approach my worlds very cinematically. The spookality world that I made of the Shiba Paradise, that was Shiba Spookyville, and I approached it where like, well, Shiba Paradise is a paradise for dogs. What is Halloween for dogs? And then that's when the real fun begins because you start to break down, okay, well, what is Halloween? Like, what is Halloween to humans? And you really break down, it's like, well, the visions of Halloween, there's a lot of scary faces, there's like witches and like zombies and just everything that like naturally would scare a human. And I'm like, well, if Halloween is like a celebration of that feeling of fear, what is naturally scares dogs? So that's why we have vacuum cleaners and the vet clinic and the neuterizer, and you fight this dog catcher boss battle. And then that's when I discovered my love for making my players cry and scream in frustration.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because that was actually one of the topics I was gonna touch on, because there was a video. I can't remember the person who made it. The editor put it on the screen, but there was one that's like, oh, PikaPetey made a boss battle, and like is like, yeah, unless if you're I think the person's name was Sales was, he's like, unless you're Tails, who could do it within four tries within so odd minutes, like it's a rough time, yada yada yada. I'm like, damn.
That's really fun because within the first round, it's a 3-stage boss battle. Within the first round, it lays out the rules, and you know exactly what to do. Just hop across, get a ball, put it into the cannon, fire the fire button without the dog catcher catching you. It's really, really simple. Do that 3 times and win the game, right? But I loved ramping up the difficulty of it. And then each time you fail, the cannon, who is your partner in crime, berates you every step of the way. And it's just that nice mental knife. I've had watching people live stream playing that game just turn and scream at the cannon like, I know what to do! Stop talking! And I'm like, oh, this is a new feeling I've never felt before. I love it.
Yeah, I feel like that goes with like any side character that like gives you trouble along the way. Like I feel like there's just a certain charm that those types of characters have, that not a lot of games have, unfortunately. But I definitely see like the feel.
My moderator at the time, Shellfoot, voiced the cannon, and it was hilarious because she's a sweetheart. Just the nicest, softest voice, and her personality, not a shred of meanness in her at all. So encourage her to be mean towards the players was really fun. A lot of times when voice actors deliver their unedited lines, they flub a line and they drop an F-bomb or something. Well, Shellfoot should make this noise, which she would like bite her lower lip in frustration and then suck in. So it's like,
oh no.
Yeah, it was hilarious. No, she gave me the line. She's like, I feel really bad recording this. I'm like, oh my god, you did so great. This is gonna be great.
Oh man, that's funny.
There's like 156 insult lines.
Oh god.
Yeah. I discovered the sound banks on SDK too, and I'm like, ooh.
Fair. Well, no, that's what's up. I'll say it's definitely kind of cool that you've been able to make different things outside of just the Shiba stuff. I guess kind of to go a little bit more into the world side of things, because obviously you made the Shiba Paradise and you made the Spookality version. I know this one's more of a gag one, what inspired you to make the 50 million polygon sphere?
Oh, okay. So I'm always trying to push the boundaries of what I can do, and what VRChat allows. And I realized that I don't think there's an upper limit with just how unoptimized you can make things. So I was like, what if I could, because I know a lot of people, they aim for making the most optimized world. I think Table has one of the best examples. It's called Plank Zero, and it's like 4 kilobytes or less than 4 kilobytes. Great world to test the overhead of VRChat. Really bad world if you actually want to do anything with it, because he's stripped out physics. And so if you move, there's no way for you to stop moving, and then eventually you'll just go to like a floating point errors and crash out. But so I was like, what if I could do the opposite? What if I could make the single most unoptimized game object ever uploaded onto VRChat, and hence the 50 million polygon sphere?
Fair. I saw that at one point. I was like, I'm not even gonna bother, because at the time, I think when it was released, I knew I was gonna crash upon entry. Like, granted, I've gotten a lot more better upgraded equipment now, but I believe that was like 2020, like June 2020, when that world was like released. And at the time, like, there was just no physical way for it to work for me.
That took 12 hours to export from 3ds Max.
Oh my god. That's terrifying.
I hit like subdivide on a cube about like 20 times or something, and then hit export, and then I left for work that day, and I came back and it was still exporting. I'm like, well, I don't plan on doing any work tonight because I got like dinner and exercise stuff. I'll just go to bed and just leave it running. And if it crashed, it crashed, you know? And sure enough, I woke up the next day and it was export. It was like a 2.5 gigabyte file of just a sphere.
That's terrifying. The fact that it was a 2 gigabyte export is nuts, to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof. To say the least. Oof.
In hindsight, I probably should did .obj, but then that would have been like 10 gigabytes.
Right. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Well, kind of moving on from the goofy ones. Obviously, we still have yet to touch base on, the biggest thing that you've done recently. So for those that don't know, this Shiba here was the one responsible for the VRRat takeover when it comes to the animations, with some of the stuff. So I guess kind of, what kind of got you into doing that? I know there's a video, we'll put clips up on the screen, but like for the generalist audience, like what kind of made you get involved with like the NPC system and, doing the whole April Fools event?
So this NPC system, and this is kind of funny, it's been my pet project, my egg I need to crack for like years now. I made the Shiba avatar, I made the Shiba Paradise, and I thought of, well, what if I could have NPC squirrels running about? Because I remember, like being in school or, just at the park and just watching the squirrels do squirrel things and how funny they are. And I'm like, well, besides the world that you feed the ducks, I can't think of any world that has like automatic NPC stuff. And I was like, well, I want my stuff to do more than just follow you around, eat bread, and just, be like an interesting novelty. How hard could it be? Got to years later. It's evolved into a prefab that I've been trying to create that anyone could drop NPCs into their world. So when April Fool's Day was coming around, I was approached back in December, and they were like, "Hey, PikaPetey, we're gonna do like an April Fool's Day thing for in April. Do you have any idea what you would want to create, or do you have like any active projects you would want to deploy?" And I'm like, "Oh, I have my NPC system. This is perfect opportunity to do this like massive beta test." And so I adapted the system to work with the rat NPCs. And it was actually incredibly easy to do so because of the development time I put into the system. What you end up with is a self-navigating, self-contained robot basically in your world that can identify itself, it can identify the other NPCs, interact with them, but then also internally handles all of the network synchronization and the ownership, which is a huge thing in VRChat if you want anything to be synced up. It's a really robust system now. Yeah. And all the world creator has to do is lay down a nav mesh.
Fair enough. No, I mean, that's cool. Mm-hmm. Obviously, with there being months, years behind the actual NPC project, did you, when you were approached by it, like, obviously, it was a really great opportunity in that case. Did you think that so many people were going to be willing to use it once it was kind of brought to the table?
I was hoping. I was hoping that was my goal. But the thing is, I'm not a programmer. This is, I've been doing stuff in Udon Graph. And so it was like my first like real programming project that I'm going to give to other people, which adds, if you've never done that before, it adds a whole other complexity onto everything, because you have to put things in a package that people want to import them. And they're going to do things that you've never even thought of before. Case in point, I'd only tested my NPCs in a vast open world. And then when I started giving it to people like Spooky Boo Ghost.
Spooky Ghost Boo, yeah.
Spooky Ghost Boo. They put it in, and then I realized, oh my gosh, these NPCs can't navigate tight corners. They keep running into the walls. But you just change around the blend tree of the animation state, and then now they can navigate. It's without getting into the weeds of it, it's hopefully a system that is adaptable enough that you can have many different types of NPCs, from like as small as a mouse scurrying around to like as large as like a giant T-Rex roaming, and they move like a T-Rex and a mouse.
That would be very interesting, especially like with that, right? Because, you mentioned T-Rex. Like, I could imagine, like, this is obviously way down the line if somebody was to get creative with it, make like a whole like cityscape map with like an NPC Godzilla, and it would just like, it'd be a different experience every time because it's, NPC based, and, it would just destroy the city a different way each time. Like, that'd be cool. But, like, if you had like colliders with the NPC and like it would destroy the city, whatever the case may be. If anyone does come up with that, let me know, because I want to go check it out. But like, it's definitely like, it adds more possibilities with NPCs. Mm-hmm. And I think, like, realistically, it was probably one of the coolest events. Like, yeah, I know VRRat's VRRat, VRChat. Steve, if you're watching this, I'm going to include VRBat as well. That's a whole side tangent in itself. But it's definitely was I think personally it was a successful event. Because not only were you having like more open worlds like Uganda or like Furry Hideout, which is pretty big, but you also had like Drinking Night. You had the Black Cat, and it all worked. So I guess kind of one of the questions in that regard, because obviously there were so many different types of worlds. Were there any, besides like, tight corner stuff, was there any like major snags like on the development side when it came to like the NPC system when implementing it for the event?
So yeah, I mean, obviously during the whole month of March, there was snags that came up, but they were very quickly solved. Because there's a lot of basically what I've created with the NPC system is a perpetual game state that exists, and then players can come and go, and the game state is still active. It's very hard to do because eventually something can go wrong that's outside of your like testing grounds, like an edge case, and then have a exception, and then that script turns off. Basically, a little part of their brain will turn off, and that was happening quite a bit. One of the major pings I had to set out, it was like in the middle, it was like March 20th or whatever, discovered a major flaw in the NPC. It was there's a safety mechanism that they detect that they're out of bounds or something has gone completely wrong, and they hit their respawn button to respawn and set all of their variables back to starting position so it doesn't break. That started making a recursive issue in the NPC where it would just get more and more and actually crash the client, which is a really big no-no. I like the show Chernobyl. I'm a huge fan of nuclear technology, so I was like, oh yeah, that was my AZ5 button, and the reactor exploded.
No, fair. I mean, to be fair, like that, obviously, with it being like the first project, there's always something that could go wrong, right? Like, yeah. But yeah, a client crasher is not good to say the least.
Yeah, it's interesting because the way I've been really fascinated in this concept of called emergent behavior. And this is the way the design works of the NPCs. They have a set of instructions, and then they also react to different information coming in. And with enough variables stacked on top of each other, they start doing emergent behavior that you technically didn't code. One of the examples is with my test world. One of the updates caused the Huskies collectively to consider a very particular part of my testing world, the public toilet. So they would travel to this spot, swap a squad, and then poop pink poop, because, you know, keeping it PG, never ask chat for a feature update. They chose poop. Network sync poop. And that would happen so much that they would do that over and over again, to the point that the pile of poop became enough where the physics started interacting. Then you had poop explosion.
Oh no. That's terrifying. Yeah, and I full-heartedly agree. Never ask chat for feature updates, because it's gonna become cursed. It's gonna become cursed in one way, shape, or another.
And then I pushed an update, and then that behavior disappeared, and I had no idea what to do with it since then. But now they're picking up objects that I never really technically coded that they can do, but then they recognize that they have something in their socket, and then so like, oh, I gotta drop this somewhere, so they'll find like a spot, normally world 0, and just set it down there.
Huh. Fair enough. They learn how to play fetch.
Yeah. Well, they should play fetch with the balls and the mice and stuff, but they're picking up things that I didn't tell them to pick up. So and that's kind of frustrating, but really exciting at the same time, because imagine you playing pool in a world with NPCs, and then the cat comes up and steals the cue ball.
That would be nuts. Oh man. I could only imagine the possibilities on that. Because obviously you are doing updates on that too. You know, I'll say, if I recall correctly, I don't know if it was on Twitter or somewhere, I saw a picture or a video of like, apparently now, like, they can attack you or something, like as a player now or something like that.
Yes. wasn't in the NPC package that I handed out for obvious reasons, because I wanted to keep the NPCs a little annoying, but not like destructively annoying. But they did attack you in my April Fool's Day world. But that's actually interesting. That tests the group dynamics of the NPC system. So they're all independent NPCs, but there's a script in there that calls out to the other NPCs and says, basically, like, to anthropomorphize, it's basically like, hey, I want to do a group action. Are you available? And then the NPCs will report back in yay or nay. Then once it's gathered its list, then it all tells them all what they're executing, like what next move there are. That's currently just attached to chase down the player and attack him. And then in that script, there's another thing. Well, obviously, when the NPCs, if they can't reach a player in time, or they like time out, like you could have them choose a different action. Well, that's all tied into jump through the air, shouting memes, dive bomb, and explode. So
I can always imagine the what was it, the Patrick Star quote from SpongeBob: "Dive bomb, dive bomb, dive bomb, dive, Patrick!" like
Patrick, no!
Yeah, that's all I imagine. Anytime I hear the word dive bomb, that's the only meme I can think of. Just neuron activation, like that's exactly what happens. Man, yeah. So ironically enough, this did not feel like almost an hour. I still have a few questions. But
okay.
Yeah. So because you had mentioned like the voice lines and the memes. So out of curiosity, because you did talk about it in the video, but what kind of got you in connection with some of the VAs that you had for the April Fool's project? Like how did that come about?
So I forgot who I was telling this to, but I was trying to decide on the voice lines for the rats, and I was like, well, wouldn't it be funny if they were like voiced by Patrick Warburton, basically Joe from Family Guy or Kronk from Emperor's New Groove? And I asked a friend, I was like, do you know anybody who could do basically Kronk from Emperor's New Groove? And they're like, oh yeah, that's Whooshy. Let me introduce you to him. And he was fantastic. Mike the Microphone is an old friend from the Brony days. And so him and I go way back, and he's done voice acting for me before. And so I just called him up. I'm like, hey, do you want to do more voice acting for me? And he was like, heck yeah, it's been so long. Let's go. And then I had like another team of like voice actors and stuff. I had someone who was like managing the team, and they just did a fantastic job in like obfuscating people submitting entries, because there was way more stuff than I was able to animate in time. And it just so happens the lines I chose was like from Whooshy or Mike the Microphone, but they did a whole bunch of battle cries that are also in my world. So they just pull from a sound bank, and as they're flying through the air, they'll shout those lines as well.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to go to the world and see some of the other voice lines, because I went to almost every single world that the NPC system was in, just to see what people could come up with, like where placements are and stuff. And I heard so many of the voice lines, and to be fair, when I was like, because I was always wondering who did like the Kronk. It did sound like Kronk at the end of the day. And then when you announced on the video that it was Whooshy, I was like, oh my gosh! And I immediately DM'd him, because I'm good friends with him. I also had him. I also had him on the podcast as well. And I was like, dude, I can't believe you like this, yada yada yada. It definitely it's small world type stuff. But yeah, it was absolutely hilarious to hear all the different voice lines, and definitely interested to see like what you produce like in the future when it comes to the NPC system. Because obviously, the ideas are now limitless when it comes to that. It's just a matter of, making more udon graphs.
It's so fun what I could do, because like, with it's so limitless in character animation, because like one of the ideas that I had in my head, because obviously any lounge world would love an NPC cat running around that just like acts like the most lovey-dovey, cat, and it curls up on players' laps and stuff. But I could hold I myself could put an Easter egg in it that if I join the world, it just suddenly looks up at the player and goes like, "Hey, thanks for the pets, but I gotta go see the boss," and it gets up, walks away, and everyone's just like, "Do you all just see that?"
That would be wild. Oh my god, could you imagine? Like, so I guess as a future thing, in a general sense, because obviously with that, right, you could allegedly make it have a somewhat of a persistence in some extent, right? So like let's use a cat for example. Like let's say if you pet the cat, whatever, and it like does like a little leveling system, or if you mistreat the cat, it can be a complete asshole to you.
That's exactly why I made the attacking script or whatever, the combat system, for that reason only. Because I was like, well, if people have used the cats, or I'm a huge fan of Legend of Zelda with the cuckoos, and you could attack the chickens, but if you go so far, they just gang up on you. And I think that's hilarious.
I would love to see that implemented. That'd be nuts.
Yeah. That is odd. And those interactions, having players react to stuff like that, like a kid comes in and let's say there's a cat cafe I build or whatever and starts kicking the cats around. People are gonna be like, "Dude, don't mess with the cats. I'm warning you." And they're like, "Yeah, you're not my parent." I'm like, "Oh, yep, you went too far. You messed with the cats." And then the kid's getting dragged away into cat jail or some stuff. You know?
Oh my gosh, I would love to see a black cat version of that.
As far as character animation, I would love to have just like even like bartenders, you know, or an NPC bouncer, or just, you know, the amount of characters, because taken back from the pandemic, people love Animal Crossing, and people had you know, they would get so overzealous about like they're getting their favorite character into their world, and what if I could bring kind of that experience to VRChat, where like a character would show up. It's an NPC, but it's so interactive and lifelike, and that's the part that really excites me as an animator to explore, because I don't see that anywhere. Like on VR, a lot of NPCs in video games are, you push a button on a controller and they then the NPC reacts, but there's no system out there that if you know, they're gonna react if a player goes up to an NPC and is like, "Ooh," you know, the NPC be like, "What are you doing? Stop it!"
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because there are a few worlds that have NPC systems, but nothing to this caliber. I guess some like examples will be like, I don't know if these worlds exist. It's been so long since I've even looked at these worlds, but like obviously you have like the B Club with like some of the, you know, characters. You have Trap Haven. I know used to have one. I don't know if it still does. Editor
Udon Bird Sanctuary.
Udon Boots. Yeah, Udon Bird Sanctuary.
And
Dog
I think
Park.
Fox. Dog Park. Yep. And then the Foxhole. They have like a red fox running around that walks up to you and greets you, and it's kind of a little off-putting sometimes. Because it doesn't blink. It doesn't blink at
all. You know, and there's probably a few others that we're missing, but it's well, I mean, Argus VRC's, you know, Project Aincrad obviously is a good example too. That's a whole nother tangent. I'm Savvy. If you're ever watching this, you know you have a seat on the podcast eventually.
Interesting enough, I got in contact with the main engineer behind. It's not Savvy. It's Boku.
Yeah.
And they showed me the way they handled their world and stuff, and I realized this. Being an artist, you know, into this whole realm of programming, there is a lot of tooling and organization that I kind of missed the boat on. That was a lot of learning experience as well with this NPC package, because you're like watching them go through their world and their Unity project and their custom tools that they've made, and the way they're meticulous opening up the prefabs and stuff like that. It's all very technical, but I was just like, I have way more to learn than what I thought I did.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
But that's the joy of it. It hasn't gotten boring.
Right. No, yeah. I mean, it makes more ideas for you in the long run.
Yeah.
I'll say, speaking of ideas, when it came to the April Fool's thing, obviously there's one thing that we haven't touched based on, and this will be one of my last questions. So obviously you had the ones running around doing all the memes and stuff. But one of the other ones you did as well was the animation using motion capture for the singing rats in particular. So I guess kind of to ask, what kind of made you want to create that in one in particular? Because obviously it was a different thing.
It was the church service. I wanted a communion, and I wanted them to the preacher rat to walk off his little podium, and then the chorus would come on, and they would have communion while the choir was going on. I didn't have time to animate the rest of that. But I did have time to make the choir, and at that time, I was so used to my rig that I made for the VRRat. I knew its ins and outs, and I just have this open VR software. It's called Breckle, and it takes basically Steam VR data and transfers it to an FBX file in your recording. And then you just take that and you put the point in, and it has rotation and motion points. At the time I was puppeting, because I'm so meticulous on my units, everything's in centimeters. I was just listening to the music and just imagining what the rats were doing as I'm puppeting them with my controllers. And I plugged it right in, and it worked beautifully. That was... I did the main singing rat in one take, and then I did the other two rats in a different take. All in all, it was like 3 hours of work, and right in there. That was... I didn't do that in the preacher rat for obvious reasons, because I wanted more finer control. So sure. That was all hand animated.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's kind of crazy, because obviously, like, the ones that I saw it used in the most obviously was Uganda. Town of Salem also had... Town of Salem had it everywhere. No matter where you were in the Town of Salem world, whether it's the lobby or in the game world, or in game, it was always there. I'm like, brother, I love, it's humorous, but I gotta turn it down at least. You know, and obviously, as we're recording this, the world row is already taken down, but there's plenty of TikToks and videos out there. Hopefully, we'll see something of this caliber again, maybe for next April Fools of something. Who knows? Maybe we'll get the VRRat. Anyway, but or VRBat, excuse me. I was trying to say VRBat, and I just brain farted there. We'll see.
Well,
but
there has been talks. There has been talks that the VRChat staff has realized that a collaborative effort on a single thing, instead of just having like a jam session, having like a secret single thing has been really beneficial. So there has been talks of doing something like this again in the near future.
Hell yeah. Well, hopefully we'll look forward to that, and hopefully sooner than later. But yeah, no, Petey, thank you so much for coming on. This was a blast, kind of to learn a little bit more about you, and, you know, kind of get to talk to you and just kind of learn more about you in the long story short of things.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a crazy journey, but it's still not over. So hopefully more NPCs in the future, and just the more crazy, wackier. My dog's doing something.
All good.
But yeah, hopefully more in the future.
Yeah, dog. For sure.
It is close to walkies and food time. That's why she's bothering me.
Fair. I'll say, to be fair, it did not feel like an hour and 11 minutes.
No, it did not.
So I guess before we do let you go, as I do with all my guests, I do want to give you a spot to kind of tell the audience where they can find you, any links you want on screen in the description, where they can find your groups, communities, all that stuff. But yeah, feel free to take it away and tell them where they can find you.
So I mostly, my YouTube channel is sporadically updated because of just the nature of things. I don't consider myself a YouTuber, but I'm also on Twitter, You can find me around VRChat and then on Discord. I'm kind of private, not very public.
Fair enough. And all these links will be down in the description as well. If I gotta do some updates after a few months, I'll do some updates. But yeah, all the links will be down in the description. Yeah. I was gonna say, if you enjoyed like what me and Petey were talking about, feel free to click that like button. Comment down below. Man, there's so many topics I could talk about. There's a lot of things you can comment down below.
I hear if you say subscribe, the subscribe button does a little glowy thing.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes. Yeah. Well, you know what? Comment down below. What was your favorite world from the April Fools event? We'll go with that. What was your favorite world experience for the VRRat April Fools event? And of course, if you are coming back to listen to some of the other episodes, why not hit that subscribe button? You already are coming back anyway, or the follow button, depending on what platform you're on. We're on 9 different platforms. But
oh my goodness! Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was 9 different platforms.
Yeah, it's a well, technically 10 if you count VRChat because it's in my world. But
okay.
Technically 10. But yeah, feel free to hit that subscribe button, follow button, all that type of stuff. This has been it for episode 62. Yes. Of the Noved Notes podcast. I want to thank you all so much one last time for watching, listening, depending on what platform you're on. And I will see you in the next episode. Take care and peace. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Noved Squad.